So let's assume like there is a user, he has a brilliant idea in mind, but he has to start his new company. Now to start a new company, he has generally two options. So, but the first option that it has, he can build and configure his own on-premise system. When I talk about an on-premise system, so when he starts his on-premise system, so he has to, configure everything from his scratch actually. Like when it comes to any sort of a server configurations or if any sort of an database configuration. So he has to invest a good amount of money to configure his database. He has to like configure a good amount of money to base the infrastructure, and also he has to put if they wanted to just host the software, so the software would be only hosted once this DB and infrastructure, the server is ready. So if you think about like the user perspective, I don't have a good amount of money at this point in time, but I have a brilliant idea to start. So to do all this setup, it will definitely take much time and much sort of an investment, but I don't want to do it right now. So what are the other options that I have? So to start my business, I can come to any specific cloud company. Let's assume AWS is one of the cloud company, and I can ask them, can I rent some resources from you? What the resource does mean here? Like I need a database. It may be a Postgres database. It may be any other database which is there in the cloud in AWS. I also need a server where I can just go and host my application. So at least I can start my business by renting some resources from a cloud provider. So if you think about like at the initial point in time to start my business, this cloud and the cloud computing model is very, very like efficient for an user perspective. But if you think about a long-term perspective, let's say I'm talking about a 10 years. So whenever I'll just go and ask about renting resources, I definitely need to have a contract or sign some kind of a bond signed with AWS in terms of renting the resources. It may be a subscription monthly basis, or it may be a yearly basis. So what I have to pay that amount, or the SaaS services what AWS is offering. So I have to pay all those extra amount or whatever I'm consuming from this cloud provider. Based on that, I'll be just paying the money monthly and yearly basis. When you think about a long-term perspective on this cloud computing or the cloud, like the renting resources, point of view, the amount I'll be spending, it will be huge, isn't it? Like definitely in the initial phase of my company, if I have 100 customer, later point in time after 10 years, I may be reach 5,000 customers. So the unit of the services that we are consuming it today, it will definitely get increased. So the amount that I'll be paying monthly basis the initial first year, in the 10th year, it will be much more, right? But if you think about a long-term perspective, if I had to invest, to set up my own infrastructure, my own database, and I host my own software, the amount of money would be required in the on-premise system will be really cheaper than this cloud computing renting resources from any cloud provider. So if you think about a long-term perspective, definitely this cloud computing will be slightly, most more costly in compared to your own setup. So generally, how company plan? So they generally start their business if they don't have investment right point in time. They'll go to any cloud provider. They rent some resources, and parallel when they make some money, they'll just investing them on their on-premises system. Now, if you think about in today's era of development or technology, most of the company are working as a hybrid kind of a culture where they are having on-premises system. They are having their own server. They're having their own setup, but they're also going to cloud, and they're also going to the cloud services where the actual innovations are coming. Because if you're having on-premises system, there is so much of dependencies also there. You can't implement, you can't upgrade anything as per your wish. If you want to do just be in line with the latest changes or the market trend, you have to be somewhere in the cloud as well, because there are so many SaaS solutions that companies are actually looking for where it is actually possible in the cloud. When you talk about a multi-tenant concept, we're talking about selling some sort of a SaaS product. So most of the companies are actually following this hybrid approach of development. So now AWS is one of the example that I have given as a cloud provider for renting resources. Now, as I said, like the renting resources, exactly what is this resources means? The resources, based on the resources that you are going to rent it, there are different type of service models are actually available.